Jeff sent out a message to his people who are in his orbit, and he said that Rabbi Steinfeld said that. Oh wait, Baruch Hashem, our friend did well today. Viva, I just got a text from Victor. So Baruch Hashem. Now Rabbi Steinfeld said that the Judaism gave three things to the world, and Jeff shared this brilliant idea with me. One thing is monotheism. The second thing we'll get back to. The third thing is sanity. And the second thing is redemption. And Jeff defined redemption the way I like to define it also, which is the idea to believe in the progress of humanity, that we can make the world better. And actually, like right now, we all live in a time where we say, oh, the world is terrible. The world is actually better than it's ever been in human history. Less wars, people living longer, less starvation. The world is far from perfect, but by any measure, the world, by any metric, and there are people far smarter and scholarly than me have been making this arguments. And if you look at an objective manner, the world is definitely improving. I know it doesn't feel like that for many reasons for people, and I'm not minimizing any of the challenges that the world is facing right now, but as an objective statement, then that's the idea of hope. So the reason why I said that is because it's sometimes when you break it down into threes, you realize the core values. And what Rabbi Steinsaltz was doing there was saying, these are the core values of what our faith has brought. But in that context, I want to challenge everybody to try to break it down. Yesterday I said the challenge of to ask people, what's the Seder about? But now you could ask the question at your Seder, if you had to break down the Seder to three core values, what would it be? And Rabbi Gamliel, I think, is saying this, and that's what we're up to in the Haggadah. Rabbi Gamliel says, whoever doesn't say these three things on the Pesach has not fulfilled their obligation. And these three things are Pesach, Matzah, and Mar. Those are the three core values of Rabbi Gamliel. That you have to say these things, or you have not fulfilled your obligation. And that's what I wanted to, first of all, encourage everyone to pose this question at the Seder. What are your three core values? And B, what are these three core values? What are these three core values really about? It's a very simple question. What is the core value of Pesach? What's Rabbi Gamliel really saying? And I wanted to say one other thing. Rabbi Gamliel lived after the temple was destroyed. Hello, Moshe, here, join us. Kobe, amazing. We have the Haggadah here. We're doing the Haggadah here. Take a Haggadah. So he was going through this question of how can we fulfill the obligation without the Paschal Lamb? So you might have thought that you can't do it. So Rabbi Gamliel is saying, no, you can replace it by talking about your core values. That's what Rabbi Gamliel was saying. What do you have in your mouth there, Kobe? Is that a lollipop? All right, beautiful. So he said you could replace the actual sacrificial ritual by saying these three core values of Pesach, Matzah, and Mar. What's the Pesach? What is the Matzah? What is the Mar? What are these three things about? So first of all, I'm putting that out there to people. What is the Pesach? What's the Pesach? So on a technical level, the Pesach is the sacrificial offering. But let's read again what Rabbi Gamliel says, because you'll see that that's not what he focuses on. This is what he's saying. He's saying it's our core value. Now, what I'm saying to you now is not like some fancy explanation from some incredible Hasidic Rebbe, or this is just straight reading of the text of the Haggadah. We're just reading it right now. Pesach, that shayu avotenu ochlim bizman shebeit hamikdash kayim. Our forefathers used to eat it. They used to eat it when the temple was standing. We don't eat it anymore. That's what he's saying. We do not eat it. So then what is he saying? Al Shema. Why did they eat it? That's what we have to say now. That's our core value. To remember, why did they eat? Why did they eat it? Why did they eat it? And then his answer is Al Shum Shepastach HaKadosh Baruch Hu Al Batei Avotenu b'Mitzrayim. Now, right here, Rabbi Gamliel is making an incredible drasha, an incredible play on words. The word pasach here comes the word pasach here. What does the word pasach mean? What does the word pasach? It says there's Rashi in the Torah records the opinion that pasach means when God, there's a word called piseach in the Torah. An animal is not a kosher offering if it's lame. So Rashi says the word pasach or pasach refers to, in his commentary on Torah, says refers to jumping. So God jumped for joy over the homes. God jumped for joy over the homes of our forefathers in Egypt, as it states, but that's not what the verse means. Amartem zevach pesach hu Hashem. It says, you shall bring a zevach of Pesach. You shall bring a zevach of Pesach to Hashem. Asher Pasach. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Asher Pasach al Batei Bnei Yisrael b'Mitzrayim b'Nagfo es Mitzrayim v'Espatenu Yitzio v'Yikoda Am v'Yishtachavu. So what what Rabbi Gamliel is saying is that the word Pesach is related to the word for jumping. And therefore he's saying that the word Pesach is about the redemption of the Jewish people. So the first thing we have to remember, says Rabbi Gamliel, is why did we eat the Pesach in the time of the Beis HaMikdash? And we ate the Pesach in the time of the Beis HaMikdash to recall our moment of salvation. So he's saying to everybody, that's our core value, to look back with gratitude towards God for our moment of salvation. That's the first and most important core value to remember, gratitude for our salvation. That's the first core value. And that's what he says, Al Shum, and we have to say that. Now, what's the second core value? Matzah. What does matzah represent? So you would think that, but that's not what he says.
Shmuel, there's a great onkelos. I hold on one second.
Hold on, Betzal. I'm going to put you on speaker so everywhere. Betzal, share with everybody.
There's a bomb targum on the word asher pasach. So onkelos says it comes. He says the word chamla from the word compassion, which is a whole discussion. What does having rachmanus have to do with skipping over the homes? So that's a very big.
So what does he say?
He says chamal, had compassion for. He doesn't. The word pasach doesn't mean skipping. It means compassion.
Yeah, I'm using the Mesivta Shas, and they say what they say it means is chamal v'dileg. He had compassion and he skipped. And they say it means both. It's interesting. That's a very powerful thing that Betzalel is sharing. It's interesting that the same word Pesach is spelled the same way as an animal that's lame. Excuse me, which is called Piseach. They're spelled the exact same way. I'm going to mute you, Betzalel, because I'm hearing people in the background. But if you want to talk, go ahead and unmute. So Betzalel connects it to compassion. God had compassion in us. And that if we translate like that, that again makes our core value. We remember with gratitude the compassion God showed towards us and his redemption. So now we're going to the second core value of the Seder. The second core value is matzah. And what does the matzah represent? So one suggestion was it represents slavery. But I think here too, I say just read what the words of the Haggadah say. What do the words say? Well, I'll read it and then you tell me what the core value is. I'm just going to read it and you'll tell me what the core value. Matzah, this matzah, here, give me the page, let me find it for you. Beautiful, beautiful. It opens up to almost the exact correct page. This matzah that we eat, what is the purpose of it? This matzah that we eat The purpose of it is to al shum shlo hispik b'tzeikam shel avotenu lahachmitz, because the dough of our forefathers did not have time to ferment before God came along and redeemed them. As it states, that they baked the dough that they let out from Egypt into matzot, because it did not ferment, because they were exiled from Egypt, and they were not able to tarry. They had no usually tzeidah is translated like victuals, they had no supplies for their journey. So again, what does the matzah represent? He says, why are we eating this matzah? Because the dough did not have time to ferment before they were redeemed. So what is this core value? What is he really saying? He doesn't mention here anything about slavery. What he talks about is redemption. He's very good. So Jeff is saying, does this connect to the idea that we were at the 49th level? I think, and of descent, and if we would have gone another second, we would have been redeemed. And I think this connects, we would have been lost forever. What I think this connects to, on a very simple level, what Rabbi Gamliel is saying is that when redemption will come, the redemption will come at the darkest moment, and it will come so fast. It will come so fast. That's the symbolism. We won't even know what to do. It's going to come so fast and so dynamic that we won't even have time to do anything. That when we're in the darkest place imaginable, we have to believe in the possibility of redemption. Even in the darkest place, and especially in the darkest place imaginable, believe in the possibility of redemption. So the first core value is what we just said, that what we remember with gratitude, how God redeemed us with compassion. The second core value is we remember, even in the darkest moments, the possibility of redemption. The first is remembered by the Pesach. The second is remembered about the steadiness of the redemption is the matzah. And before we get to the third, we're going to hear a thought from Jerry. Yes, Jerry.
Could we please have the word matzah on the screen? The screen shows Pesach. We're behind.
Oh, that's up to Rabbi Yosef. Hopefully Rabbi Yosef can handle that, but I think he can. Thank you, Jerry, for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was a good addition. Okay, now we go on. I'm sorry, you had something?
The matzah, redemption, but it says they didn't have any, of course, provisions. They have to leave very quickly. So it also meant life for them. I mean, they had the manna in the desert, but it was life for them. I mean, the matzah
was their life's salvation, because they would have died without it.
So it was redemption and also
Salvation. Beautiful. Okay, I like that as well. The matzah represents salvation. Very nice, very nice. And now we come up to the third idea. What's the third idea? This third idea is maror. What does the maror represent?
Bitterness.
Tears. Now it's very interesting, before we read the maror, is that the biggest transformation that Rabbi Gamliel made was with the maror, because the maror in the Bible is not about bitterness and tears. The maror in the Bible is just a vegetable that you're supposed to eat with the Pesach and the matzah. And we'll see what Rabbi Gamliel does. It says, why do we eat this maror? In the Bible, the biblical text makes it sound like you're eating it the way you eat a hamburger today. What do you put on your burger?
Mustard.
And what else?
Actually, horseradish.
You put a piece of lettuce and tomato. You don't just eat a plain burger, you eat a lettuce and tomato. So you eat a piece of, you have a bun, that's the matzah, is a soft pita, and you put the lamb into it, and you put a piece of vegetable on it. That's how you ate it. So in the Bible, we say al matzah marum yachuhu, makes it sound like you're eating the Paschal lamb with matzah and a vegetable. That's what makes it sound. But Rabbi Gamliel says no. What's the reason? He connects it to a word which, at first glance in the biblical text, is not really connected to the maror as the vegetable, but he draws this connection. He says, Al Shum Shemararu Mitzrim Es Chayei Avoseinu Mitzrayim, because the Egyptians embittered our lives. So that's and what's his verse? Vayimaru Es Chayeihem Ba'avodah Kasha. Originally, the maror, even though the Roman lettuce, like it's a whole question. What is the maror? The Mishnah has to suggest 5 different things. It's not obvious that it should be something bitter, and also there's something much more bitter than lettuce. Lettuce is sweet. So the Gemara says it starts off bitter, but the point is that he connects this idea. Hey, how you doing? Baruch Hashem. He connects this idea. We're doing the Haggadah. You're joining us over here, Ezra. So he connects this idea to the idea that their lives were embittered. But that's not the original meaning of the word maror, scholars suggest. So we see from here, what is he saying is the core value? This is Rabbi Gamliel's chidushim. Rabbi Gamliel is saying these are my 3 core values that we need to remember. One is the core value of gratitude for the compassion that you showed us. Number 2 is the core value of belief in redemption. And what's the third? The third is what we say is this third core value that's symbolized by the maror. The first is symbolized by the Paschal lamb, the Pesach. The second is symbolized by the matzah. What symbolizes this maror? What is the maror symbolic of?
Like bitterness or something.
Yeah, so I think you're right. It's very good, Ezra. He walks in, it's like the pinch hitter comes in and hits a grand slam. Beautiful, Ezra. Beautiful. Yeah. No. Ezra, no, it symbolizes that we always have to remember where we came from. Now we have to remember that it wasn't always this easy. It wasn't always this soft. That we had a hard time. Remember the bitterness. That as we move forward with our redemption, or I should say at the beginning, of course, since we're remembering where we came from, not bitterness, but remembering with sweetness that we're studying today in memory of Sam's mother, Shepsel's mother, Nettie Swirsky, Sam and Thera sponsored our study. But we remember, that's our obligation, to remember where we came from and remember what the Egyptians did to us, and don't whitewash over some of the darkest moments. So that's what Rabbi Gamliel says are his 3 core values that he wants to remember at the Seder, and he breaks it down into Pesach, Matzah, and Myrrh. I want to suggest to everybody that's Rabbi Gamliel's 3 core values, but what are the 3 core values that appear to you? What are your 3 core values? We have Rabbi Steinsaltz's 3 core values, which were sanity, redemption, and also monotheism. But I think that people might have their own core values, and you raise it at the Seder. What is the Seder? Some people might say, what's the purpose of the Seder, Moshe? Let me say it to you. Do you have your own, or you just agree?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Some people might say it's continuity. There's many other things that people could say about what their core values are. This was Rabbi Gamliel writing in the days after the temple was destroyed. Let's look at some of the deeper commentary on this idea. What's the source of this idea? That we have a Mishnah in Pesachim 116b, which states there in the Mishnah, Pesach al Shum Pesach. But we don't adopt the text of that Mishnah. Instead, we say the Pesach, Rabbi Gamliel says the Pesach that our forefathers used to eat when the temple was standing, what's the purpose of it? And, wow. So some want to say that the one who's writing this is not the Rabbi Gamliel who was around in the time of the temple, but rather his grandson, who was in the time of the destruction, and he had seen how they had eaten the Korban Pesach. So therefore, He changed it to the fact that they were eating. So he had lived through the destruction and he was commenting on it. So another powerful thing is that the phrase here, what's the phrase that they use here? Rabbi Gamliel haya omer. Rabbi Gamliel used to say. Why doesn't it Rabbi Gamliel omer? Rabbi Gamliel says. Why is it Rabbi Gamliel haya omer? It's a subtle distinction, but it's a very powerful distinction. He used to say it all the time. This was his speech. He used to say it every single year. He used to give the same drasha. It wasn't when Rabbi Gamliel was saying it, there wasn't a Haggadah. He was living the Haggadah. So, and he was saying, just because you said it once doesn't mean you can't say it again and again and again. He was going back and he was saying it. But meaning to say, this was his thing, his point of emphasis. Okay. Now, how could it be? It's also very harsh. He says it like this: whoever does not say these three things has not fulfilled their obligation. It's a very harsh statement. You know, you worked for a month to get ready for Pesach. You went to sleep. You stayed up late. You sat through 4 hours of Haggadah, and then whoever doesn't mention these three things has not fulfilled their obligation. So what's the idea behind that? So he says that I guess the concept here is that you can't miss the essence through the trees. Means that you can't miss the essence. And this, I think, is a message for all of us not to miss the essence of Pesach. Yeah, you could in many ways. How you doing, Donnie? How fast did you run tonight?
We ran 5 miles at 7:15.
That's schwach. That's mid. That's mid. Yeah. Oh no.
Rabbi runs 5-minute miles.
Donnie, we demand excellence. And I'm just teasing. Donnie's very fast. Very fast. So the idea is, what Rabbi Gamliel is telling us, Donnie, Rabbi Gamliel is telling us, he's reminding us on Pesach, don't lose the essence. Don't forget about the core values. That means you will not fulfill your obligation if you forget about the essence. You have to say these three essential things. And if not, you're just missing the essence. So you could have the best matzah ball soup in the world, the best brisket, the best Devar Torah at the beginning of the Seder, the best clothing, the most company, or the best singing. But if you forget the essence, you're missing the point. Okay, you know what? We have to stop here. There's so much more to say about these things, but at least I think the one takeaway I really want to encourage everybody to have is to ask people, what are your 3 core lessons that you come from the Seder? Just break it down really simple so that everybody can remember, because we're going to give very powerful ideas. People aren't going to remember that. But if you ask everybody just to say, the most important thing I think as a teacher is not to show how much you know, but to teach the most powerful central thing that people actually remember. And so the most powerful thing for people to remember is what is the Seder is about. So Rabbi Gamliel is saying, break it down into 3 things. What's the core message of the Seder? For Rabbi Gamliel was the redemption. It was gratitude. The redemption could come even in the darkest moments. And remember where we come from. Pesach, Matzah, Maror. But we should ask this question to everyone at our Seder. What are the 3 lessons, the 3 takeaways from this Seder? It's a very simple way to formulate what Rabbi Gamliel is saying, but I think it's the essence. All right, happy birthday to Aviva and to Shepsel's mother, and to Shepsel and Thera, may Shepsel's mother's neshama have an aliyah and Neti Swirsky. All right, let us have a mincha.